Welcome to another day of Dose of Did You Know? And with me is Miss Elle from Soldier Socks. I feel like I'm so out of my jam because I've been traveling and I haven't been doing interviews. I've been working for this documentary, and I'm like, what do I say? I should have practiced that instead of jibber jabbering with you before we got on. But thank goodness you're here, starting my March off so perfectly. We haven't connected since what we were talking about it pre-pandemic,
Mm-hmm. Pre-COVID.
pre-COVID for sure. And but before we get right into it, tell the world a little bit who you are and why I think you're so cool.
Sure thing. So my name is Elle. I am the founder of Soldier Socks. I am also a wife and a mom. We launched Soldier Socks about 3 years ago. I did so as a stay-at-home mom, scared, who did not know much of anything. And now it's just been an amazing journey, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I had why socks? I mean, I'm like the infamous, as long as you have socks on your feet, they're good. They don't have to match because that's now a thing. So yay, yay for me. But why socks?
Why socks? So I feel like I've said this story so many times, but the socks we sent in care packages to a friend who was deployed back in 2010. And when he got home from his deployment, that was all he talked about were the socks. And it wasn't anything, it was just packing peanuts for us. It wasn't like it was the special part of the package. It was on the list. We added it. It was great. But he just basically told us about the impact that they had and how awesome it was to have that constant clean supply of socks to go through. And Tom's had launched around that time with their 1-for-1 model, I think not long before that. And we were like, we could do this with socks. But life was just in the way. We were living in New Jersey at the time. We were moving to North Carolina, starting a family. And so that all kind of got in the way. But we finally bit the bullet in 2017 because we realized, being in North Carolina, we were in the textile industry capital of the country. So it just seemed serendipitous that it was time to take that leap of faith.
Yeah, the seed was planted, and then you had to wait for it to get little roots and little buds for it to kind of come full blossom. And it's so funny. So Travis is out there, Travis, and he interviewed my son for Christmas, soldiers and Christmas and family. My son is a Marine veteran, and that was one of the things. He's like, my mom always gave me socks. And I asked for them or not, or wanted them or not, but they were always there. And it is kind of neat once he gets in his stocking too for Christmas. So maybe I have an infatuation.
No, it's like that. It's like meme or something. It says your happiness at receiving socks as equivalent to your age. So as your age is younger, you're like, oh, socks. But as you get older, you're like, yes, socks.
Socks.
So exciting.
Cool socks are even better. That's what darn it, I packed up all your socks and brought them with me when I was traveling because I love them because they are cool. They all have different, patterns and themes on them. So you can put them on booties. Like if you're a female and you have booties, you can wear them on your booties and it dressed. I don't know. For me, they're cool. And then for my kids, they just think, they're all adults. I call them kids, but they're adults. They love them too. But you're not just this is a great idea and we're going to do this. You actually have substance behind your company. There's purpose behind it. Not just you making a profit, which is great. We all need to make a profit so we can give more and do more. But there's meaning behind it. So can you tell a little bit? Because I don't want to totally botch that.
Yeah. So every time we sell a pair of socks, we donate a pair to members of the military, which was inspired by our friend who we sent the socks to when he was deployed. We recently, I say recently, it's been about 2 years now, probably. We launched our Stand for a Cause line, where we team up with different nonprofits, and we basically do a sock design that's inspired by what their nonprofit does. And we donate a pair of socks, and then we donate money back to the nonprofit for each pair that is sold. So it helps further their mission as well. We are very I guess picky is a word, not picky, but very selective with which nonprofits we work with. So we make sure they have a good Charity Navigator rating. We work with nonprofits that benefit the military community because part of our mission was to, yes, provide socks, but we said we were always more than a sock company. So we didn't even know, I think, what that meant until we got into the process. We learned so much of being civilian owned. We learned so much about the military community challenges they face while in the service and after their time when they become veterans. And so when we started teaming up with these different nonprofits that benefited the community, we just learned so much about the military and veteran life. And it was just eye-opening, and we were welcomed with open arms by them. And so it was just really such a great experience. And then we try to take our civilian side and almost educate people in our world about what's happening in the military and veteran community, because a lot of people don't know. We didn't know. And so
Right. You just had this friend and you're like, oh, that's a great idea.
yeah.
Okay. Did you have any, I know you guys are a civilian owned company, both of, your husband and you are both civilians, but did you grow up having military, or was it just this one friend that kind of made this complete, I feel like it was kind of like a big shift in your life of how you see things and do things?
No, so I come from a very, very patriotic family. My father was in the Army. He fought in the Gulf War, and so that was probably my first. I wasn't very close with him growing up, so I didn't have a lot of communication with him. And he actually, unfortunately, he passed away before we started Soldier Socks. But I wish that we had that chance to start Soldier Socks prior to that, because it really just helped me understand him more. And I think our relationship would have really thrived better if I had known this. So that is a regret that I have, unfortunately, that I didn't get to know him better. But I feel like on the back end, I'm really starting to understand him more and just appreciate more what he went through and what he did. And so he was probably my first experience with the military. And then my uncle went to West Point. So I remember at Thanksgiving time, a lot of his friends, I come from a huge family. My grandparents had 16 children. So having a few more people come over for Thanksgiving was no big deal.
Yeah.
And so he would bring some of his buddies home who, for some reason, whatever reason, couldn't go back home over Thanksgiving. So we would always have the West Point guys come over. And then my husband's grandfather and great grandfather fought in World War I and the Korean War. So we definitely have on both sides of our family a very strong military background, and then very patriotic upbringing for me and him. So.
Yeah, and then here it is. Gosh, I wonder, just your story, and even listening to your story with your father, and now the company you have and everything about it, is it kind of translating into maybe other people with their parents or fathers that might have passed, or just, how all of a sudden your relationship or your acknowledgement of a relationship becomes aware to you, and people start coming into your life that kind of have that same similar story, might be a little different, but you relate in the same way. Have you found that throughout this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one person in particular I'm thinking of. Probably not exactly the same journey with our fathers, but we joke because we follow each other's social media and we're very involved with each other's businesses. And we joke that she's like my sister from another mister, because we just have such similar likes and just thoughts and everything. So the people who have come into our lives, we have been truly blessed with the businesses we've been able to work with, the nonprofits we've been able to work with. We just have come across so many genuine quality people. And if nothing else, if Soldier Socks were to go away tomorrow, which it's not, but if it were, this journey would have been worth every single blood, sweat, and tear that came out because of the people we were able to meet during the process.
Yeah. What gave you the right? Because it's kind of, you hear a lot of stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads, or just people needing this transition or something more that's in their life, but so many of us do nothing about it. But you kind of did. What gave you that courage?
You know what, especially I think during this COVID time where so many people are kind of questioning where they are and just kind of seeing their lives in a whole different light and perspective. I think it was, like we said earlier, it was a seed that was planted and then it grew buds and then it just kind of took off, and it was a voice that was in my heart and I just couldn't ignore it anymore. So it was like, do we take this leap of faith, or do we just sit back years from now and wonder what if? And so I think eventually you just have to take that leap. And it's scary. It's very scary because you can succeed or you can fail. But no matter which way it goes, even the failures are such a huge learning experience. There's so many people, so many entrepreneurs we come across who are extremely successful, but it was like their third or fourth or fifth venture that is what pushed them to that success. And it's just, even if your first one were to not succeed, if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, if you have a great idea, just go for it, because the learning experience alone will be invaluable, and something will connect, something will click.
Yeah, yeah. You never know which one. I want to ask Travis out there. He's like, what is it like when you hear, or do you ever hear from like veterans that receive your socks, or families maybe? Do
Yeah.
people
So
connect with you?
yeah, we get it a lot. One that's sticking out right now was he worked on, so pardon my civilian terms, I'm going to try to say it correct. He was on a flight deck of a ship, I believe, because we sent it a ship. Does that sound about right? So he was,
Yes, me. I'm just the mom. I mean, I'll be like, yeah, and they'll be like,
it was
no.
Navy, and he was on the flight deck. He had been in the military for 20 plus years. So he was at retirement age, but still going strong. And we had sent socks. He didn't request the socks. Somebody else in his unit had requested them. We sent it to the ship, and he received a pair. And so he went out of his way to email us that he had received them. He said, I've been in the military for 20 plus years. These are the socks that I have been looking for my entire life. He said, I'm on my feet 18 plus hours a day. He's like, I never have found a pair of socks that give me the support and the comfort that these do. And so that was, he said, you have a customer for life. I was like, but that was like the pinnacle, getting the feedback from the people that because we spent over a year on R&D, research and development, to get this perfect sock for the military boot. It was the very first one we designed. We did have some sock background. My husband had been in the hosiery industry for many years prior, so we kind of knew where we were going. I had been watching him for a long time during his career and learning about it before he even knew that it was going to be something I'd want to do in the long run. So we had some sock knowledge, and we knew like features and benefits and what we'd be looking for, but still spent a year to get that perfect sock to donate to the troops. And the same sock that we sell, it's Color Thomas. That is the very same sock that we donate, because you'll see sometimes a lesser quality will be donated when companies do a give back, because it's not genuine. I feel like some people can see through if it's a genuine, you want to support and you want to give back, or if it's a marketing ploy. Yeah. So for us, the whole give back was what started the business. Like that was the initiation of it. So the same sock that we sell is the sock that's donated to them.
That's what I love, because like you said, these are good socks. If you haven't tried them out there, you have to. You're like, oh, they're not cheap. And I was thinking, what makes you like who you are and such a good soul in your heart in your business is that it is the same one. There isn't that like, oh, I'm not really making any money actually on this sock that I'm just doing. So let me get that lower grade and, screw you guys. I know I'm saying I'm doing this and taking all the marketing for all your hard work and sacrifice and then giving you crap for your feet. But that's not you. It is. So that's makes perfect sense why that guy was like, I've been looking for these socks, because they're not just like cheap socks that you buy in a 6-pack. I mean, and actually I bought a lot of socks. Like I said, I am the sock mothering person, and socks are expensive. When you get like a good sock or even a graphic sock, you're paying for it. And sometimes I have just paid for those graphics, not the sock. Yeah. And like there's a hole in them within a day. So to have that quality and that, what do the Thomas socks look like? I don't think I have a Thomas sock actually.
The Thomas, so it's just a black sock, ribbed leg. It has a little bit of a cool gray detail on the foot and the heel and toe. And all of our socks have our signature red, white, and blue stripes that go across the toe. So if you're wearing them, you'll know they're soldier socks. But it's one of our things we're talking about launching a Kickstarter soon. We're going back and forth a little bit just because the military uniform and all that's changing, because we did black because it would be the most acceptable throughout all the branches, because we donate to all branches. But obviously there are branches that have, the OD green and then the blue. And so we definitely want to eventually come out with the solid socks that we donate that are in the colors. But we haven't really had, I know some people are very strict. I think it depends on who your commanding officer is, how
Yeah.
strict they are. And then we've had some people say that some people, I won't mention who, wear them anyway, if they're not supposed to. But then we've had people who just use them for their PT or just outside of uniform and stuff. So
Right.
they'll get use out of them, even if they're
Yeah,
not.
no matter what.
Yeah.
See, that is something, did you even think of those little things that civilians were like, oh, just get the sock, just put something on your feet. It really doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't match your suit. Okay, whatever. That makes the difference down to those little details. So even when you're giving and you have a good heart, these are things that you have to think of. Am I doing good or am I making more of a problem? Kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like I said, it's just one of those learning curves that we just kind of came across. And people have given us so much grace. Like they really just, they understand we're civilians and that we're coming from that background that we really don't know much as far as acronyms and all that go. And they've just been so patient and explaining things to us and walking us through things and all that. So very grateful for the military community.
Yeah, it's really, people can see through, like they can see through a bad sock, like you talked about. They can see through a bad heart, basically. It takes very quickly. You might win them over in the initial conversation or email, but very closely when people are coming from a place of their own desires, it is sniffed out. And I believe the military can sniff it out faster than most. Like I'm amazed.
I believe so. Aren't they trained for that? Tell when people are lying and stuff, learn certain tics.
Yeah.
It's a tough crowd, but
yeah, great to go out and hang out with them and people watch because I'm like, okay, so this is my idea, and they're like, oh, well, this is what I think is going on because X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, yeah, but look at. So it's quite fun to try to like decode people
I love that. That's awesome.
like that. So Elle, thank you so much for just talking about your heart, and your heart is your business. So it's kind of all interconnected. You can't have one without the other. But before I let you go, I ask that you answer this with the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't even have to explain, just like pop it out. In this moment right now, Elle, what does love mean to you?
Giving. That's the first thing that came to mind. Just giving of yourself, being selfless, because I think there's a lot of selfishness that can go around and it can just take away from all the good out there. So just giving of yourself, and I think that's what love means to me.
It's perfect. And you are perfect. Keep doing and growing. And if you guys haven't checked out Soledier Socks, you have to. It's SOLE, like soul. Very cute.
I'm all about the puns.
Yep. And you are one bad entrepreneur. You have got it. You've just coming from the right place, the right drive. And I'm sure we'll have another conversation a year from now about the struggles that you have overcome and how you've done that. Because man, learning those stories are inspiring to me. And I'm like, ooh, you know what? I can apply this a little bit more, or I'm not applying that at all in my life. I think I need to.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you for all those lessons. And to everybody out there, remember, as always, love hard, love pure, and love proactive. Until next time, we will see you. Take care.